All righty, Doc here from North America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It is the stroke of midnight, finally, of politics. It is election day. And in the United States, in 2020, the last presidential election, we had 156 million people vote. And coming into this morning, before the election even, the physical, or I guess you could say the election day start, we have had 81 million vote already. 81 million. So you're not going to see too many swings like, where it goes like, oh, it's, when someone gets a lead, chances are those leads will probably stay. And there won't be surprises, going into the late afternoon and evening. More than likely, the trend is going to be set with 81 million already voting. So that's going to be very interesting. I can say a few mathematical things about it all. They say that Trump is leading in many, many states, and the ones that he's not leading in, he is way ahead compared to last time. By millions, by hundreds of thousands. I'm sorry. So in other words, like in Pennsylvania, over 1 million voted early in 2020 on the Democrat side, and only like 200,000 or 150,000, something. I think it was like 150,000 on the Republican side. This election, only 400,000 Democrats have voted early, and over 250,000 Republicans have. So something's brewing on there, that's for sure. In other words, the Democrat is definitely down by 600,000. That's a big number to be down. He won the state last time, Biden, by 44,000, I think it was. I think it was 44,000 or 22,000, either way. To be down 600,000 voters is going to have to be, it's going to be a real get out the vote situation. It's going to be very fascinating. So we have different spots of the country I'll be watching, and different congressional races. It'll give us a good idea what's going on and where things are going. And so let's get rolling along here. As you can see, the dollar index moving down a little bit. You can see the little red right there. Let's put that up on the screen right there like that. You see a little pressure going on it this morning. A little down, a little bit lower. You can see here the algorithm is still in the plus. Right there, you got that plus going on. So let's see. Where do we go from here? Back down to there, and you can see it's still in that weekly at the same time. It's breaking down. You can see the weekly is trying to show some weakness and break down. We'll see. All right, so that's the dollar. We're looking for different signs until this election is over with. The markets, as far as I'm concerned, the last couple of months, the stock market has been pretty, sideways. I want to say I'm going to put the S&P 500 up, like on our 3-hour chart. That it's rare for me to pay attention to something like that, but it's a lot more fun to watch that than a day chart. And let me put that up on the screen. Let's see. Okay. I go like this, and I want to show you. This is like there's been these webinars on Dukascopy Education, where we talk about resistance and support and things like that, and every so often I chime in about it. So we're going to throw that up on the screen. This is a 3-hour tour. So this is, let me just put it up on the screen right there, and you'll be able to see it. And that is a 3-hour bar chart, okay? And you can see where the purple lines are. And when we go like this is just an overview. We'll go back and forth a little bit because I think it's well worth it because, there's been some good webinars about, this would be considered now a support, because it comes down, trades to the number. Matter of fact, I guess I could go like that and, nope, that didn't do it. Like that, and then I go like this, cancel, and I go like that, and then I go like this. There we are. And so, as you can see, it hits this resistance area. In this case, it's a support area now because it supports it when it falls to it. And you can see it's been doing that for the last couple days. This is all the way back to, what is that? That is September 30th. As we've been saying for a couple months now, the market has fallen into that position. And you can see the support that was there. And that was an all-time high, too, at the same time. At one point, that was like, oh my goodness, it's all-time high. That type of thing. And you can see then that the orange line was a resistance on the way up, going back even further, where it supported it, and then it failed at it, and then tried to get through it, and then climbed back up above it. And so let's shrink this down so you can see it even more intimately, or more coherently. And so what you're seeing, let's go like this, and then we go over to here like so, and you can see this is a channel that seems to has evolved in the stock market. And you can see, we've been watching this channel now for months. We've had this up on the screen for months, and you can see how it kind of, it's locked inside of it at times. And we've talked about it. We're always glad to explain channels and resistance, and we're really happy to see Forex to want to have had webinars on resistance and support, and I always enjoy that, especially in the era of quantitative easing. Ever since 2009 now, technical analysis is so much more accurate, when it comes to these things, because the Federal Reserve is the what we refer to as the buyer of last resort now. Where it was before, it was the mutual funds and the hedge funds and the exchanges and the specialist systems, and the traders were the buyers of last resort. But after the collapse of the global financial system back in 2000, at the end of 2008, as Mr. Obama was taking the presidency, the global financial system collapsed. Merrill Lynch went bankrupt, and Lehman went bankrupt, and Lloyd's of London went bankrupt, and Santander and Deutsche Bank, and you could keep on Citibank, and there's so many companies that just Bear Stearns is gone, and I could just keep on going with different companies. Bank of Scotland, and we can just keep on rolling along. Our HSBC, and and what they are now is they exist in name only. And so the quantitative easing concept was Mr. Bernanke's graduate thesis. When he got his PhD, this was his thesis. What could have been done better to avoid the pain of the Great Depression? And his suggestion was that in his graduate thesis as an economist, was that if the Federal Reserve had only bought the bonds and stock of companies going out of business because of no insurance, because back then they didn't have deposit insurance. And now we have the FDIC and the SLIDC. That's a Deposit Insurance Corporation. In this case here, it's like the savings and loan, the SL. Deposit Insurance, SLDIC, and then you have the regular banks, FDIC, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and then you have an insurance one. You have all these things that now protect that. And so he was saying that basically without that insurance, the Federal Reserve should have come in and bought the private stock, should have bought the private bonds of the banks and companies that were going out of business, because they weren't. It wasn't a decision per se to put them out of business, as much as like in 2008, going into 2009, it was a decision to put all those banks out of business. They did collateralized debt obligations, CDOs, and when they did those, they leveraged them, like 10 to 1, 15 to 1, 20 to 1. And so when and they said this, you'll never lose your money. Hey, Robin, how you doing? Up a little early this morning, are we? Did you go out and vote? So without those insurance protections back then, Mr. Bernanke, the former Fed chair, said, we'd do a quantitative easing. The Fed would go in, have a third portfolio or a second portfolio, and buy the private stock or buy the bonds, the private, the preferred bonds of a company, and just deposit them and put them to the side, and then wait for the company to regrow again after the calamity is over with, all the problems are over with, and then they could buy them back themselves from the Federal Reserve. And that's why the Federal Reserve refuses to allow a audit, because they want to hide. Good, me too. I voted last Wednesday. They wanted to hide what they were doing, unfortunately. So, but how's this play to channels and resistance and support areas is because now the traders on the Fed desk in New York and other places are the buyers of last resort. They are acting now like the private investors of old. And so they don't know, they follow the technical analysis rules. That's all. So markets move a lot on technical analysis now. All right, sip of tea time. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm still looking like yesterday, and I'm seeing positive things coming out of the Pacific Rim, financially. So the Singapore Straits Times and the Hang Seng in Hong Kong, and the Taipei Index in Taiwan, and I'm seeing a lot of positive action, just like they did before the sugar high that China, the People's Bank of China, did, and put the 1.1 trillion into its market about 5-6 weeks ago. And we've been talking about that, and we're thinking, there's a good chance that another one's coming around the corner, because that's the way communists usually work. They have 5-year plans, 10-year plans. And so they may slice that. They want to stimulate the economy. They want to support the economy in China. So maybe they have a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan or a 10-year plan, whatever it is. They're probably going to do it in slices. That's what I'm thinking. And so we'll see. Oh, and the third thing I'm watching, or the second thing I guess you could say, is copper. Copper's showing a lot of strength when the rest of the metals are not. And we saw that same thing characteristically happen before the sugar high that came from the 1 trillion investment. We assume that we have a good idea how much they really have to invest. The People's Bank of China has to invest in China to prop up the economy or get it moving again. It's somewhere between 25 and 30 trillion yuan. So far, they've only put 1 trillion in. And, the stock market is trading about, I don't know, what is it trading? It's trading, 50% off its all-time highs. It's, it's halfway between. So, obviously, they need to do a lot more to help the economy there, There's no doubt about that. So I'm just throwing these things out, trying to get a feel for the next sugar high, because if we get into daily buys and weekly buys and we get a sugar high, you want to ride those calls. That could be a really good move. May not be as good as the last one, but buy before it happens and sell it as it happens. Buy the rumor, sell the news. All right, so that's where we are today, and that's what we're going to be watching for a while now. We're going to keep our eye on that. We're watching the copper, and let's show you what I'm talking about when it comes to the copper right there. And there's copper. Look at that. Showing some real strength in there, and then we saw that same thing with the sugar high back in here for the previous stimulus. When everything else was kind of sideways and choppy, it found a way to launch itself, and it ran from the 410, 415 up to the 480 area. And the stock market did that same thing. Let's show it to you on the other screen. We'll show you the Shanghai in the same time period. There it is right there. There's the sugar high right there. And it took off, and we're thinking it's trying to do that again. And when you really think about it, a communist nation normally does those type of investment concepts. They have like a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan, and they make shoes that are all 7s for 6 months, and then they retool and make another shoes that are 9 size. Then they retool again and make another shoe that's 11. Another 6 months later. You're going to have these future plans. Another sip of my tea. So that's what we're watching for, is another one of these nice moves. Went from the 27 area to the 36 area. Almost 1,000 points. It's pretty impressive, And then it, rolled back over again, and now we're just we're like the 50 percentile. I guess if you Fibonacci this, you would see it in the 50 percentile at this point. So, and it's in a weekly buy. You see that there too. And right now the Singapore Straits Times is not. Hong Kong is. Taipei is not. Seoul is not. And the Nikkei is not. So we're waiting and seeing. If we start to see that turn, we're figuring that will be the sign. That'll be a good sign that the next tranche of the support will come in. All right. From there, let's jump over to, let's take a look at right there. And there is the euro. Now, it went into the sell yesterday. Let's steal one of these. Right there. It went into the sell, but today it's trying to pick up again, but it's not getting there yet. But look at this. The weekly is still fighting. It's the fast has gotten through the manifold on the minus side. Just fighting to climb up to the 0 line. It's almost there now. You see the histogram is trying to get closer to the 0 line, and you can see the slow green line making it up to the manifold now. So, just like here, when they start to play with the manifold and they break down and we get into cells, you see the pressure that occurs, and vice versa. When you see the turnaround, same situation. As they start to break through this area here, this is back in July, you see that? You see the strength. Let's bring the 0 line back down like that. There we are. So, it's just a warning basically. And then when it's way up in here and it tries to play with the selling and it can't get through the 0 line and barely can even touch the manifold. I mean, we see the fast when it pierces the slow. You can see some weakness out of it, but it bounces off the 0 line and starts to move up again, and boom, there's your action again. So, and that's how we like to watch that stuff. All right, so there is the euro. The euro is acting mighty fine. It's trying to get into a buy. The weekly is trying to get into a buy. But right now, a little sloppy. I guess they want to see how this election plays out today. And then there is the cable. Now the cable seems to that was a change of the government in the sense of I think the Tories have now a new woman leader in opposition, and so we'll see. Maybe we're going to see another Margaret Thatcher. That would be nice. I haven't even looked to see what her policies have been, what's her voting like, how long she's been elected, so forth and so on. I just know that Nigel Farage is now in Parliament, so there's a good chance that he will be a force to help bring the Tories back to capitalism and free markets and free people. Right now, the Tories have been basically Labour light. I guess that's how you could label it. Or Tory light. They're Tory light because they've been acting like Labour. Hence why they elected Labour. Because, why vote for something that's pretending when you can actually vote for the real? And we'll see how that all plays out. Now you can see there, cable is trying to bounce right into the buy, better than the euro is. And you can see right there also we have a green yesterday and a red. So there's some action that's trying to come out of this. Usually it takes a couple days, and then you never know. It might come up and bust through this line right here and take out that high right there, and we need to see this weekly start to turn up here. So far, nothing yet, but it's changing, and it's playing with the manifold. It's been through the green line, the fast, for a while now, and hasn't been able to get through the manifold. The longer it takes to get through the manifold, it usually shows weakness. Now that it's starting to pierce the manifold, you're starting to see, this slope right here basically going on. Let's draw that slope. Like that. That slope, it's starting to develop. The trend. The trend is your friend. So we'll see. Let's save that and just do a save file. Save workspace. There we are. And then we'll see, because it's looks like it might bust in there to the buy today, and we'll see. All right, now from there, we go over to the Swiss, the great inflation fighters. And it's still in the buy. Went into the sell, and then let's grab one of these buys. There it is. Let's grab that buy right there and move it down. So it went into the buy right there. We're at a weekly buy, daily buy, and what is it doing? It's getting smacked. We're losing. It's a rarity, and that's part of the nature of our math. Sooner or later you have to have a loss, and sure enough, it's doing it right there, right now. So we'll see if, in other words, remember too, traders, that this is the dollar Swiss pairs trade, not the Swiss dollars pairs trade. See right there. So what happens is that as it's rising, it's losing against the dollar, and then when it's dropping, it's gaining against the dollar. And so right there, you can see the weekly is trying to break down. Matter of fact, you can see the fast is actually minus at the moment as we speak, and the slow, the green, is breaking the manifold itself right there. Let's move the zero line down like so. And so this is definitely a loser going on. And, it's in a weekly buy, daily buy, and you've had you had this wonderful winner there, and you had another cute little winner right there, and now we're having a loss. So that tells us we may be getting to the end of the road on this thing, and it's the next sell, and the weekly sell will be another move back down into the low 80s instead of the mid 80s. All right. Don't see any questions or anything. So from there, let's march our way over to the yen. The yen doing pretty much the same thing. It was a great run there, and it was in a weekly buy, daily buy. It was hooray for us type of thing. It goes into a sell here, and it's been relatively weak. You're in a buy, weekly buy, so you can't take the short, of course. And in this case here, you're seeing a little noise. You got the green and the red yesterday, and you're starting to see a little lift here. We'll see. It's trying to push back into that buy as we speak. So we'll keep a sharp eye on it right there. It could be closing back into the buy, and it's in a weekly and daily buy. And let's see if that gets into the buy and fails, and then maybe a weaker dollar might be around the corner. I don't know. With Trump, we'll see. I think Trump's going to win, so I kind of think the markets think Trump's going to win, so we're going to be basically seeing how this all plays out. And so we just have and I think it's going to be a fast election too. We're going to know by this evening. By the time we're talking tomorrow morning, I'll be able to say to you, I believe I'm going to be able to say to you, Trump's got it, All right. So from there, we go over to the great experiment. There it is right there. It closed in the sell yesterday. Let's steal one of these sells. There. Right there. There's another situation. Green and red developing. It's still in the minus, and at the same time, the weekly is trying to turn up. Now, remember, we talked about this, for the last couple of weeks, because this is the 6th week now in a weekly sell. We haven't seen anything like that in 3 years. That is amazing. So, we thought that this had a little bit more kick in it because of the weakness of the euro, not the strength of the Turkish lira. That's really what it comes down to. And so That's what we're really looking at the moment. Is I think we're starting to see a little bit stronger euro. It's trying to get into the daily buy, and obviously that's putting the pressure on the Turkish lira. Tea time again. All right. So from there, we slide over to South Africa. And there is the Rand. And you see, it keeps on trying to roll over. And when the Rand is going down, that means it's gaining against the dollar. So we really, waiting for the weekly to join in with that. And you can see the fast has just underneath it at the moment. It's just very, very close. So where's it at? Right there. Yeah, it's actually minus at the moment. The fast, the little green, blue line. And the green has pierced the manifold here. These mirror image manifolds. And so the pressure's on. You can see the histogram is trying to break down more and more. And you can see the price is rolling, and it's been in a daily sell. Let's steal one of these. It's been in the sell since right there. And so that pressure is on, and you can see even when it went into the buy here after it did that pop up, it stayed in that buy all the way up until this point right there. And so it stayed in that buy, and now it's trying to break that upwardly trend. And normally, we see copper and gold and so forth, all that stuff. Usually, let's see, where's it at? Usually, they work in fashion with that. So let's take a look at, there's copper, and obviously copper is lifting. That's normal when it's like that. Also, what's kind of reminding us is that you can see here, silver is just fighting to get into that buy, and it's playing with the weekly sell. On the other hand, gold is doing basically that same thing. It's in a daily sell, and it's trying to climb into the buy, but it's failing. Now, the weekly indicator has been so strong for so long, it doesn't let go. I mean, everybody's buying gold. They're putting it in their, safe spot where they save things, that type of thing. Institutions, private investors, cab driver down the street, everybody. So gold is definitely the place to be. So we'll see after this election, which ends in the next 24 hours. It'll be good times again, I guess. All right, so from there, and then we look at the platinum. And platinum is doing that same thing. It's trying to lift up today. Went into the sell up in here. You can see the weekly just flirting with that. Went into the sell last week and is back in there trying to flirt with the buy. So the South African Rand is usually a kind of like a indicator. I know they have a lot of political problems. There's a lot of issues going on. Let's see, and so it makes it very tough. Very, very, very tough. And so the best thing we can say, honestly, is basically, we're going to be staring at this whole action now, and we're going to be watching because we think that platinum will do better under Mr. Trump. We really believe that. We think platinum will do better, and I'm not expecting to see it jump to the perfect ratio again where it trades at a premium to gold. But, this trading 1/3 of the value of gold is just a little too weird for me. I mean, gold's at 2,800 basically, and platinum is at 1,000. That's for a product that's traded for decades in the plus to gold, and to be down almost 2/3. That's very strange. Very, very strange. All right. So from there, let's jump over to the energy sector and see what's going on there. We'll use the other platform so we can see, crude, and then we can see, Brent, the whole bit. Just see it all. Let's see it all. All right, let's start off with Brent. Let's put Brent up there first. There we are. There's Brent. Brent has been showing a little strength the last couple of days. You can see the weekly has jumped up just like it does in West Texas. The American oil. You can see it's the second day in a buy. It's been in, it's the you can see the algorithm for 4 days now has been through. So now let's take a look at West Texas Intermediate. There. See the same situation, 4 days in buys there. Just jumping into the weekly buy now, but through, so it's a 99% chance that it stays in that weekly buy once it breaks the manifolds there. And so that's you can see here a couple days in a buy, and it's being strong. Then from there, let's see what else we got up there. Let's take a look at. Let's see. Let's take a look at. I'm trying to think what we're looking at. We just saw those two. Let's go over to heating oil. Let's see. That's doing the same thing because again, the world uses the heating oil to heat up their engines and their houses. Here it comes, and there it is. There you can see that. That's 5 green days. And you can see, is that right there? Let's do this. Let's give it a refresh. Right there. You can see, it's been in a buy for 4 full days, and it's been lifting up. And it's doing that same thing. It started the week off roaring, and this is only the second day. And look at it. It's just taking off like a rocket. So, the airplanes fly. What can you say? The airplanes will fly. Fly on this fuel. The big planes in the sky, the big trucks on the road. This is how it all plays out in the end. All right, now from there. Let's look at natural gas. I think I saw strength in it this morning. Yep, closed in a daily buy yesterday. You can see down below the weekly buy is being pierced after something like four weeks in a sell. Okay. All right, now from there we go and look at to see. So we did the 4 different contracts. Now we'll go take a look at the 2 stocks. So here is, let's see, where are you? Go all the way down to right. There we go. So there is the Spanish energy company. That thing's been cruising in a sell for a while now. You see, for weeks upon weeks, it's been in a sell. You see, days, it's 7 days now in a sell. That is anticipating lower prices. And so we're seeing short-term upward prices, probably because the Ayatollah came out with that odd statement about break your teeth response. So break your teeth response to Israel. Can't they teach that guy how to make love, not war? Crazy times, All right, from there, we'll take a look at ExxonMobil, an American stock, does it all too. It has it all. They do heating oil, they do petrol for the automobiles, and all of it. And so you can see it's having that same issue. There's a 3rd week in a sell. No doubt it's trying to lift up in here. And you can see yesterday, that was Friday, they knocked it down and they lifted it up yesterday. And so far they're not trading it yet because it's only 8:05. The stock market doesn't open up until 9:30 here in the United States. So you can see the pressure's on. It's been in sell for days. And even with that pop up, told you not to because it's minus there, And so at the same time, it's in a weekly sell for 3 weeks, so you wouldn't want to try to play the upside on that either way. All right, now from there, I guess that completes the energies. So we're through the energy conversation. And if anybody has a question about anything, just let us know and we'll go look at it. And I guess nowadays I kind of stop at the halfway mark, and I like to put in a title. What, and I think today's title, because I made myself even more clearer. The title today is going to be what the hell is all this junk? Every time they download stuff, remove. Every time they download stuff, they put garbage. There you are. Let's go back to that. Back to that. And title today. So let's put the title in. And the title is... What's this, chats? Let's see what that is. Alright, let's go like that. And we're going to put... What's app notification? I just want to put my title in. There we go. There we are. Ooh, look at that one. I'm seeing a title in there by Kamar. How about that? Bitcoin may drop to 52,595 level. Far out. That could be interesting. We can put that up on the screen while I'm looking at that. Let's put the Bitcoin up there. Let's see, there it is right there. This is the cash Bitcoin, which is really cool. You see, it's been in a lot of red dots there, and it's been in a sell now for like 4 or 5 days. Like, what's that? 5 days? 5 days. I'm sorry, 5 days. And it's flirting with the weekly sell too. So Kamara, I agree. There's some pressure there. Where's it trading now? 68,757. Okay, with a low today of 67,000. So you think about another 15,000 down. Could be. There's the support there, right there. It looks like lots of support in that 52,000 area. I agree with you. All right, let's put a title in there for me. So for Doc's title today, there we are. There we go. Title today. Let's see what we have here. Let's see. And the answer is, I think the title today is going to be something about we're watching, I guess it's we're watching Pacific Rim, markets. Watching. How do we say this? We're watching for action coming from the watching. Prices with, and we'll make it China Bank. What was it? The P. It's a P, isn't it? People's Bank of China, right? So PBOC. Watching prices with PBOC stimulus, because that's what I think is building up right now. I really do. We'll see after the election. Remember, the election has been a major factor. Our policy stimulus. That's it. Watching prices with PBOC stimulus. That's what it comes down to, too. And copper's that tip-off. Watching copper lift the way it is with the rest of the metals not lifting says to me something's brewing there with the People's Bank of China. And we'll keep an eye on that and see if we can see a little tip off. And then usually Singapore and Hong Kong kind of lead. They kind of, and so does Taipei. They realize, they probably have many connections inside the financial communities in mainland China. So I think that's going to be the answer there. All right, and that's going to be our title, and that's in. Let's see. Nice. Interesting. So, would not suggest my niece. Let's see. All right. Oh, okay. So when is that? That is. Trying to see when that was. Okay, that must have been yesterday. Oh, there you go. Alrighty. So now we move along to. Let's take a look at them. So you can see here, definitely Bitcoin has been topping out from its all-time highs. I think that's the all-time highs, yeah. So now from there, we take a peek at, some of the different things. Like, let's see what Shanghai. Let's go right to Shanghai instead of Tokyo. And there's Shanghai. And you can see there, that's showing that life. See that right there? That strength is really saying to me, watch out, something's brewing. They went into a weekly buy there last week. It's in a weekly buy again now this week. We're starting to lift. It seems like it doesn't want to give up. This was the resistance. I guess this was support. This is the real support right here, right in the 3,200 area. Now the bigger question, will it find a way to get up to the 4,000 area? I mean, I guess it comes down to, let's say, I would think that it won't be a 1,000-point move. I don't think this time. I kind of think it'll just be like a 300 or 400-point move, because I think that the 1,000-point move was trying to tell us, okay, great, they're going to do something. They're going to help. They've had major bankruptcies over there in the real estate markets and so forth. So they're trying to find ways to pick up their society again, because it's. Without the Americans, China is not much of a very productive. Let's put it this way: they don't make a lot of money without the Americans. Americans have got to be, they need to sell to America, because nobody else can buy like we do. So there is the Shanghai, and it's lifting. Let's show you what Hong Kong's doing. It's looking the same exact way. Right there. There's the Hong Kong. Now, it didn't go into the weekly buy last week. See right there. It's going into the weekly buy now. I would expect if it was really we were seeing the stimulus, it would be in the weekly buy already. So we're watching. We'll see. We'll figure this out. But the next part of the stimulus is already in the market. And what's worse. And what I mean by worse is, if they don't do a stimulus the way people expect it to be done, you know what I mean? They'll punish the market. So, the People's Bank of China has to show a lot more aggressiveness in a different way. They have to do some really good stuff to keep that sugar high going, And it is, obviously. It's holding up. I mean, it was at 2,700. 2,600 and change right there. I'm sorry, that's Hong Kong. It was at 16,000, and that sugar high drove it up to 23,000. So, that was a pretty big move. From there, we shoot over to. Let's show you to Singapore too at the same time. Singapore is doing that same thing. There's Singapore. And you can see here, Singapore is still in a weekly sell. So let's say we're getting ready to see this race happen, but it hasn't started yet. The runners are coming up, loosening up. They're not at the starting line yet. We're not at the starting line yet for the next pop. Because we really do believe these guys know, and gals over in in Singapore and Hong Kong and Taipei have a good idea what PBOC is doing before it does it. All right, and from there, we'll go to Taipei. Let's go to Taipei. Where's the Taipei at? It's a little bit higher up. There it is. And then, let's give it a refresh. And here's Taipei. You can see, 3 days in a buy. But again, just like Singapore, it's in the weekly sell. So, like I said, I think the athletes are in the stadium. They're loosening up out in the middle of the field, not on the track itself. A couple are walking on the track, that type of thing. But no one's going to the starting line yet. At least that's the way I see it. But I do pay attention to that copper market. And that copper market screams at me, that's the gold of China. And so when China is going to do something economically, copper always takes off way ahead of it. So it's starting to take off now. So we could be, I think I said yesterday, we could be, definitely not this week, maybe the start or the end of next week. Maybe we start to see some action, but I believe something's brewing. That's what I believe. From there, we shoot over to, let's see what Seoul's up to. I mean, we saw Seoul seems to follow China very closely. I think they sell a lot of product to China. Someone's got to manufacture the tools that they need. Let's see, where is it? Right there, there's the Kospi. You see strength the last couple days, and it's in a buy. But again, this is just as in bad a shape when it comes to this is like in the worst of all shapes, really. Look at that. It's been in that weekly sell now for over 6 weeks. So, it's telling us that same story. They're not yet ready to stimulate again. But we know that there's going to be trillions more of yuan put into the marketplace over time. We'll see how. I guess they will keep on buying quietly to keep that support area probably of the 3,200 in the Shanghai. I'm sure they would. It's been years now since they're 50% off their all-time highs. They were heading for 2/3 at that point. The all-time high is 6,600. 6,600 and something, and it was down to 2,700. That's a 2/3 loss. Everybody else is making historic numbers. Even Japan found a way to make all-time highs. Kick up that inflation to get it there, but it did. But in China's case, they're looking at it and they're going, how are we going to be the world reserve currency if our stock market won't even move? So now let's go over to Hong Kong. I'm not Hong Kong, I'm Tokyo. Let's see what Tokyo's doing. There it is. And there's Tokyo. And you can see a little weakness here and a couple red dots. It's kind of been sloppy. It's underneath. And it's in a weekly sell like the way South Korea is. So, all right. That's pretty much the Pacific Rim. I guess we'll go to Jakarta. I saw an interesting thing. I always think of Jakarta as like the big oil nation of the Pacific. So I saw this morning where Saudi Arabia's Aramco was down 15. Not the stock. The stock is up, but the earnings from refining were down 15%. So that I thought I went quickly to look at it and thought, wow, I wonder what they're doing to that poor thing. Let's find Jakarta first. And of course, what we saw was, Aramco is up for the day in the last couple of days. I guess it's a buy the rumor, sell the news. In this case here, they were expecting a weak 15% in refining, but production is a big key out of it too. So you can see here. Here's Jakarta. It's been a couple weeks now in a sell. You can see 2 weeks there, and at the same time you can see there's 6 days. There's 9 days now in the sell, and we're just getting a little green action on the daily there. And so the oil chart looks a lot like this too. And then we go over to, let's go to Saudi Arabia, and we'll take a look at the Aramco. There it is right there. There's Aramco. And you see, last 3 days they've been buying it. So someone knew what was brewing, and you can see the weekly had jumped through the manifold with no problem on Monday. So there's some strength going on in there. And, we've gone, and now, remember, this is not exactly exploding. You're talking about $26.95 low over there, and we're only trading at, today's high is $27.29. I'm sorry, 55 cents. So you're talking about a 61 cent move over the 3 days there. So it's not, it's not like through the roof. It's a very stable product. It's got a nice dividend. It's got incredible inventory. It's very positive. I would say the only reason we see nervousness in the oil market in general is just because of the Ayatollah in Iran just coming out with very outlandish stuff. All right, now let's take a look at the other company we look at in Saudi Arabia. We look at the metals manufacturer. Let's see, where are you? Right. That's it right there. National Metals and Manufacturing. You see that's been firm, but last 4 days it's been pressing down. And you can see the last 4 weeks in a sell. It topped out in here somewhere, and it's basically been sideways to down. Made some type of support area there. Notice it bounced off of it again right there. And it was like a resistance at one point right there and there. It's always interesting to see that stuff like that. Let's check out the Rockets Red Glare. That's what we call the Tel Aviv exchange, since they've got these rockets all the time being fired at them. Talk about capitalism at its best. Obviously they have this thing all figured out, don't they? Look at that, days and days and buys, green dots, and you got 6 weeks in a weekly buy. So as much as they're shooting at them, they don't seem to care. The capitalism is saying it's a good place to put your capital and make money. From there, we'll jump over to the DAX. There is DAX. And the strength in the DAX. Let's see. It's holding on, it's showing some life. Let's see, DAX should be firm right here. Let's see. There it is, yeah. So it's in a buy for a couple days. We'd like to see the weekly get in. Right now, weekly's is the second week in a weekly sell from all that pressure that's been on it. Let's see what the FTSE's doing. With cable lifting up, I would think FTSE would be a little bit stronger than usual, because they were selling it down for the last couple weeks. Yeah, see a couple green days, It's in a buy. It's 3 weeks in a sell. Let's see, the fast, you can see it right there trying to climb back through the manifold. And once that green line starts to turn up like that, right there, once you start to see that action, then we're getting back into that buy thing. Let's take a look at what else we got. Let's see what Brussels is doing. Matter of fact, let's go. Where's that Italian one? Let's go to that FTSE, the FTSE in Milan. Where is it at? It's in here somewhere. Let's see. Netflix. There. There it is right there. The MIB. Showing some strength in Milan there. Strength, 3 days in a buy. Slid into the weekly sell this week. Look at that. Banging through. from that weakness last week, I guess, and maybe we'll see if they start to turn it up by the end of the week. It's still very early. We'll see how the world. That's going to be another thing too. It'll be interesting to see how the world markets act after the Trump victory. That'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out. All right, traders. By this time tomorrow, we should have a good idea about the world economy. So, happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you, to all our trading friends. And I want to show you one last thing right there. Look at that. There's the channel right there. The channel one we were talking about right there. Fighting its way back up. This is a daily. No, I'm sorry. This is a 3-hour chart. You see it's battling its way up. It's trying to get back going again. All right, traders. Ta-ta for now.